An 85-pound Belgian Malinois that 3 different families had returned to the shelter as too aggressive would not stop standing guard over a newborn baby girl. Every single night, he positioned himself between the crib and the door. The parents thought it was a problem. Then, 4 months later, at 4:09 a.m., they finally understood exactly what he had been doing the whole time. And what they realized changed how they saw this dog forever. Mara Ellison was 31 years old, living in a quiet, split-level house in Bothell, Washington, just northeast of Seattle. She and her husband Cole had spent 2 years trying to have a baby. When their daughter Wren was finally born, 6 days early and barely 6 pounds 4 ounces, the house that had always felt too big suddenly felt fragile, like something that needed protecting. What it didn't have was a dog, at least not until 3 weeks before Wren came home. His name was Ranger, an 85-pound Belgian Malinois with a sable coat, a black mask across his face, and ears that stood straight up like he was always listening to something nobody else could hear. He had been at the Cascade County shelter for 274 days. 3 families had adopted him. 3 families had brought him back. The first family kept him 9 days. They said he was too intense, that he watched them constantly, that he never relaxed. The second family lasted 2 weeks before returning him, claiming he wouldn't stop pacing the hallway at night. The third family didn't even make it through a full weekend. They dropped him off on a Sunday morning and said one sentence on the surrender form: "He won't stop guarding things that don't need guarding." The shelter staff had a name for him by then, the unadoptable one. Not out of cruelty, but out of heartbreak. They watched a powerful, healthy 4-year-old dog sit in the back corner of his kennel and slowly stop trying. He stopped greeting people. He stopped reacting when the gate opened. He just lay there, head on his paws, waiting for nothing. The only time anyone saw his tail move at all was when a volunteer named Teresa hummed while she cleaned the kennels. For 274 days, that single off-key humming was the only thing in the world that reached him. Still haven't subscribed? Honestly, that one stings. Cole was against it. An 85-pound dog labeled aggressive 3 weeks before their first child came home? It sounded insane, but Mara knelt down, as much as an 8-month pregnant woman could, and Ranger lowered his head and rested his chin on the floor right in front of her. Not begging, just waiting, the same way he'd waited for 274 days. "We'll take him," she said. Cole thought she had lost her mind. Honestly, most people would have agreed. The first 3 weeks before Wren arrived were tense. Ranger followed Mara everywhere: the kitchen, the bathroom, the nursery they were still painting. When Cole tried to close a door, Ranger would lie down outside it and refuse to move. He didn't bark, he didn't growl, he just had to know where everyone was at all times. Cole started to think the 3 families had been right. Then Wren arrived. They had braced for the worst. Every article online, every well-meaning relative, every instinct told them to keep an 85-pound dog labeled aggressive far away from a 6-pound infant. Cole's mother called twice, begging them to rehome Ranger before the baby came through the door. But when they carried the car seat inside, Ranger didn't lunge. He didn't bark. He walked over slowly, lowered his enormous head toward the tiny bundle in the pink blanket, and breathed her in. One long, careful inhale. Then he sat down beside the car seat and didn't move for 2 hours. From that day on, Ranger had exactly one priority, and her name was Wren. He chose his spot the very first night. Not at the foot of their bed, not in the living room where his own bed was. He lay down in the nursery doorway, his body angled so that he faced the hallway, with the crib behind him, between Wren and the door. Every single night, without fail, that was where he slept. At first, it was sweet. Then it started to feel like too much, because Ranger wouldn't stop. If a delivery truck rumbled down the street at noon, he was on his feet, positioned between the front door and wherever Wren was. If a stranger walked past the house, he stationed himself at the window. When Mara's sister visited and reached too quickly toward the baby, Ranger stepped in front of the bassinet, calm but immovable, a wall of muscle that said, "Not yet," without making a single sound. Mara loved him, but she also worried. Was this healthy? Was this the same guarding things that don't need guarding that got him returned 3 times? She caught herself watching the dog the way the other families must have. Maybe he really was too much. Then came the small things she started to notice, the things that didn't fit the word aggressive at all. When Wren cried at 3 a.m., Ranger was already standing at the crib before Mara's feet hit the floor, not barking, just there, like an alarm that loved you. When Wren Wren learned to roll over and inched toward the edge of the playmat, Ranger gently lay down along that edge, a soft furry barrier between the baby and the hard floor. When Wren grabbed his ears, his lips, even pulled at his teeth with her tiny fingers, the 85-pound dog who scared 3 families simply closed his eyes and held perfectly still.
And then there were the smaller things, the ones that made Mara start to laugh instead of worry. Every morning at 6:15 sharp, Ranger would carry one of Wren's stuffed animals, always the gray elephant, never any of the others, and drop it at the foot of the crib like an offering. Nobody taught him to do it. He just decided the elephant belonged to Wren and that Wren should have it the moment she woke up. If Mara tried to wash the elephant, Ranger would sit outside the laundry room and stare at the dryer until it came back out. He developed a strange habit of sneezing exactly twice whenever Wren laughed, a big dramatic double sneeze that shook his whole body, which only made Wren laugh harder, which made him sneeze again. Cole filmed it once and watched it 40 times. The dog 3 families called Dangerous had a sense of humor. He just needed someone to be funny for. Even Cole, who had fought hardest against keeping him, started saving the last bite of his dinner for the dog he once wanted gone. There is a thing about Belgian Malinois that the families who returned him never learned. They're one of the most intelligent working breeds on Earth. Police forces and the military use them precisely because they bond to a single purpose and protect it with everything they have. Ranger had spent 274 days in a shelter with no purpose at all, and then a 6-pound girl had given him one. He wasn't guarding things that didn't need guarding. He just had never had the right thing to guard. Stories like this one are exactly why we do what we do. If it's making you feel something, you're not alone. But the night that changed everything came in February, when Wren was a little over 4 months old. It was 4:09 a.m. Mara and Cole were deep asleep. The house was silent. And then Ranger started barking. Not his quiet alert. This was loud, sharp, relentless, a sound he had never made inside the house before. Cole was out of bed and down the hall in seconds. He found Ranger standing at the crib, barking at it, scratching at the side rail. For one terrible moment, Cole thought the dog had finally snapped. He grabbed Ranger's collar to pull him back. Then he looked into the crib. Wren wasn't breathing right. Her face had gone a faint blue-gray in the dim light. She had spit up in her sleep and aspirated, and her tiny airway was blocked. She was completely silent, which is the most dangerous sound a choking infant makes. No cry, no noise, just stillness. Cole screamed for Mara, scooped Wren up, tilted her, cleared her airway the way the hospital nurse had shown them in a 5-minute demonstration they barely remembered. After 3 agonizing seconds, Wren coughed, gasped, and let out a furious, beautiful wail. The paramedics who came said the same thing the doctors said later. If she had gone even a few more minutes without anyone noticing, it could have ended very differently. A choking infant doesn't make noise. There is no alarm. There was nothing to hear. Except Ranger heard it anyway, the change in her breathing, the thing no human ear could catch through a closed bedroom door at 4:09 in the morning. That was what he had been doing every single night. That was what the nursery doorway was for. That was what 274 days of waiting had been training him for, even when no one believed he was anything but a problem. When they got home from the hospital that morning, Cole sat down on the nursery floor next to Ranger for a long time. He didn't say anything at first. Then he wrapped both arms around the 85-pound dog that he'd spent weeks doubting, the dog 3 families had thrown away, and he just held him. "You were never the problem," he whispered. "We just couldn't hear what you were hearing." Ranger leaned into him, his whole body softening, like something that had been holding its breath for 274 days finally let it go. Today, Wren is 2 years old. Ranger is 6. He still sleeps in her doorway every single night, facing the hall, the crib behind him. He still steps between her and anyone who moves too fast. Mara stopped calling it too much a long time ago. Now she calls it what it always was. The neighbors who used to cross the street when they saw an 85-pound Malinois on a leash now wave at the gentle dog who lets a toddler ride him like a pony across the backyard in Bothell. The relatives who begged them to rehome him before Wren was born now send him birthday cards, actual birthday cards, to a dog. And every February 14th, the day he saved her, Mara orders him a small dog-safe cake. He eats it in 3 bites and carries the gray elephant to Wren the way he has every morning since. When a dog won't stop guarding something, don't assume he's broken. Don't assume he's dangerous. Maybe he hears something you can't. Maybe he knows something you don't. Sometimes the ones the world call too much are simply the ones who love too completely for a world that wasn't listening. Ranger didn't need to be fixed. He needed to be understood. And a 6-pound girl understood him before anyone else ever bothered to try. Would you have trusted an 85-pound dog that 3 families called aggressive alone with your newborn? Or would you have sent him back too? Tell me in the comments.